Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in football. Today on Play to Win, the undefeateds, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kennesaw State. The Falcons go to New York. If they can win there, can they win anywhere? Plus injuries, fantasy football, and Jeffrey the Edge Schechter bounces back this week on Play to Win.
Play to Win is being brought to you by Toyota, the Georgia Lottery, and John Foy and Associates. Welcome to Play to Win with former Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith. Fantasy Football League previews with Adam Brown. Game analysis with Nikki Williams. Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Edge Schechter. Medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalaji. And your host, Atlanta sports veteran Bob Neal. Today's SEC report is being brought to you by Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer today. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, let's meet the stars of the show on Play to Win. Chuck Smith, of course, Tennessee Volunteers, Atlanta Falcons, great football player, now a coach and a consultant, particularly on the defense. And you have a new nickname. I'm hearing it on the radio.
Well, what is it?
They're calling this guy right here the Pass Rush Whisperer. Remember the horse whisperer? Now you're a pass rush whisperer.
That one's new to me. But I like it. Whatever it means.
Yeah. PRW, that's what you are.
PRW.
And the busiest woman in showbiz, she's on CNN, she's with the Braves, she's everywhere you can think about. What is it, to say yes to the dress or something else? And you deign to give us plenty of time for Play to Win.
Absolutely. I'm not a horse whisperer, though. You got me beat on that one.
Horse whisperer?
He called you a horse whisperer.
I did.
First.
It's like a horse whisperer.
You're a
it's
gossiper,
the one. It's
not a
you know what it is. It's the person who knows what to say to get the person or thing to operate just right, like him. Tell him what to say. You're going to bounce back. Last week was a rough week for everybody because there were a lot of crazy games, but you're still 9-7, Jeffrey.
Some tough beats, but time to go forward.
Time to go forward, and he's going to go forward just this very day. All right, let's get started with the SEC report, which is what we're in right now, and let's take a look at the games this week. You see on that board there, most of the SEC teams have relatively easy games, but don't tell Auburn, they almost lost to Jacksonville State last week. They play at Baton Rouge this week. That's going to be a big one. We'll talk about it in a moment. Also, some other games in the SEC. South Carolina comes to Georgia. Does the old head ball coach still have it with the Gamecocks? We'll see. Western Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Kentucky ought to be pretty good. And the big one, Ole Miss, Alabama. Wow, we'll talk about that one too. But let's start with Auburn barely escaping from Jacksonville State. I thought they were going to lose that game till Jacksonville State kind of crumbled at the end and Auburn came back. Jeremy Johnson for Auburn. Everybody is making him king quarterback, and he's been struggling out of the gate.
Well, the fact remains he's going to continue to struggle. He's playing against a defense in LSU with a new coordinator, Coach Steele, who's sending blitzes. And I believe that the defensive line coach, Ed Orgeron, the best hire this entire offseason in college football, they're going to give Jeremy Johnson fits with that LSU defense. Auburn will struggle offensively.
All right, and what I want to talk about now is the LSU offense and that running game, Nikki.
And that Leonard Fournette. Y'all, we've been talking about it. We called it. Now we have seen it. LSU's offensive player, SEC's offensive player of the week had, 159 yards, 28 carries, 3 touchdowns, all 3 career highs for Leonard Fournette. You better watch out. The man's scary.
Immovable object and irresistible force, or whatever it is, this week. How are you picking it? It's a tough one. At Baton Rouge.
Tough place to play. Auburn, since the first half of Louisville, has not looked good. Lucky to beat Jacksonville last week. I think LSU gives them a beat. Give the 7.
Okay, Ole Miss goes to Alabama in our next game that we're spotlighting. Ole Miss at Alabama, and that means defense. Talk about the Tide D.
Well, the Tide D is one of the best in America. It's led by, I believe, the best player in America, middle linebacker Reggie Ragland. He can cover rush. He can do it all. He's the catalyst that gets that team to go.
Will he meet Chad Kelly this week, the quarterback at Ole Miss?
He will greet, meet, and do a lot of different things, probably to Chad Kelly, but it's going to be a defensive day. Ole Miss has Robert Kondichi, who's a monster, too. It's going to be a heck of a defensive day.
For me, I'm just meeting Chad Kelly. This guy is a total surprise for me.
Right.
Kind of came out of nowhere, but he's got a cannon for a right arm. 346 yards, 4 touchdowns against Fresno. I wouldn't count him out.
He's a heck of a player. We'll see.
Yeah, we won't count him out. They might count him out. The pass
like
rushers
an 8,
get out like 1,
9, 10.
He's out. That's how we want to do it.
Hard one to pick. Also, how do you see it, Jeffrey?
They say the only 2 things in life that are certain are death and taxes. I'm going to add a third thing to that. Mississippi is not going to score 70 points this week. I think Alabama gives them a beating. Give the 6.5.
For Alabama, you're going roll tide. All right, and now it has been you might call this unusual, rare, maybe even unique, a great week for local teams. Georgia football teams. Look at all of this. You know about the Falcons, Georgia and Georgia Tech, but Mercer, Kennesaw State,
Stepping
Georgia
up.
State. Look at this. Georgia
Stepping
Southern,
up, Bob.
Valdosta State, Reinhardt.
Stepping up.
West Georgia. All right, let's talk about Georgia State and Kennesaw State. But first, Georgia State, they got a win last week. They've been struggling, but they're going to be playing at Oregon. Whoa, look out. And this is the College Football Showdown brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Also, we want to talk about Kennesaw State. This is the first year for Kennesaw State to have football. They've played 2 games so far, and they are 2-0, beating Edward Waters College. Honest, they have a football program, and Kennesaw State beat them last week. I want you to take a look at this quarterback. They run, by the way, a Georgia Tech Paul Johnson type offense. That's the passing of Trey White to Justin Sumter, big 6'3", 216 receiver. They're shorter colleges, their upcoming opponent, but watch Trey White as he runs in for a touchdown here. This is the quarterback. It's the run option. He sees the seam down the middle, breaks it into the end zone, and wait for it. Oh! Into the student section goes Trey
Is
White.
that like going to be the Kennesaw
it's
type
the
of leap?
first
Rambo
third stadium leap.
Fifth third.
We'll be back in a minute with Hometown Team Report.
We took America's best-selling car and turned everything up a notch. The Toyota Camry. What bold moves will you make? Get 0% APR for 72 months plus $500 cash back on a new 2015 Toyota Camry. Toyota, let's go places.
Sorry I'm late.
No worries. Hey, you got my Falcon scratcher, right?
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Make the drop, give him the money.
Roger that.
I forgot to stop. Sorry, man.
It's a no-go, Larry. Just land on the sidelines.
Tom?
The Georgia Dome is actually a dome!
You can't win if you don't play. So take your shot at $350,000 with the Falcons game on Scratcher.
Is your house uncomfortable? We can fix that. Get the Estes Whole House Comfort Checkup and eliminate hot and cold spots in your home. If you save energy, you save money. Go to EstesAir.com and book your appointment today. Estes Services, your man for all seasons since 1949.
Bad pipes, clogs, broken water heater? We can fix that. ST's Plumbing Services, your man for all seasons since 1949, will make your plumbing problems disappear. From pesky pipes to new water heaters, we can fix that.
Nissan Altima. With up to 270 horsepower, blind spot warning, and premium interior. For a limited time, choose Altima with 0% APR for up to 72 months or save up to $37.75. Altima, the ride you can always rely on. Shop your local Nissan store and choose Nissan.com. Innovation that excites.
Hometown Team Report is being brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, bringing a higher order of pizza to Atlanta for 40 years.
All right, it's time for Hometown Team Report. One of the biggest games in the country this week, Georgia Tech, ranked 14th in the Associated Press poll, goes to Notre Dame. South Bend, Indiana. Georgia Tech, of course, has been scoring about 60 points a game their first couple, again, against the little sisters of the poor. But this is the big sisters of the rich at Notre Dame. What about Georgia Tech's run option offense? How will Notre Dame handle that?
Well, I think Notre Dame has a great chance to handle it because I think history serves Notre Dame well. They've played Army and Navy who run the traditional triple option over the years, so I think it gives Notre Dame an advantage. Plus, it's a little mushy surface up there. It might be a little inclement weather possibly at Notre Dame. I think it helps them slow down Georgia Tech's offense.
Could be a south end of Lake Michigan there. However, Notre Dame's got some injuries that they're having to recover from. How will that work, Nikki Williams?
Coach Brian Kelly is looking for Ashton Kutcher to jump out of the bushes and tell him he's on punk. This is bad news. He lost his starting quarterback. Now he's lost his tight end. So you've got Zaire out, you've got Durham Smythe out, and now you've got Deshaun Kaiser. He's in. If he wants to have a good game, he's going to have to keep Notre Dame's offense moving.
All right, we'll see how that happens because we got the backup quarterback in there, although everybody's saying he may do a good job. And there's a young kid, a freshman, who also might play some at quarterback also for Notre Dame. Here's where we get to the real nitty-gritty, though. Jeffrey, how do you pick it?
Originally, I didn't see Georgia Tech winning this game. But with the Notre Dame injuries, and also Notre Dame has always had a hard time defending the wishbone. Navy goes up and down the field on them. I think Georgia Tech wins this.
So even though they've played it, Jeffrey's saying they have a hard time defending it. All right, that's how we look at it. Now let's take a look at this game. South Carolina comes to Georgia. Often the first game, SEC conference game that Georgia plays this year, not so. They played Vanderbilt last week, but South Carolina comes in, not off to a good start at number 7, Georgia. My first question for you, Chuck, is can the Georgia Bulldogs get a passing game going?
Well, I think, yes, they can, but the first thing they have to do is I think they got to work more on the short passes, screens, to try to open it up, to get the quarterbacks in the comfort zone, run the ball, short passes, then give these quarterbacks a chance to go deep. But they got to get better if Georgia's going to improve and win this game.
At this point, Grayson Lambert still starting. Don't know when we might or might not see Bryce Ramsey. South Carolina also injured quarterback Connor Mitch is out, and in comes a new guy, former walk-on.
Former walk-on, he was bagging groceries back in July, and now he's the starting quarterback at South Carolina. So Spurrier is just, as I like to call it, rowing with the orths. He's like what I did there. He's rowing with the orths. He's been given, what a nice kid. I've been watching interviews with him, and he's great. But if he really wants to have a competitive game against Georgia, he's going to have to rely heavily on Pharaoh Cooper and running back Brandon Wiles.
Exactly.
They are really going to have to be a safety net around him, hopefully to lift him into some sort of competitive spirit with Georgia.
Perry Orth will be orthing the boat. I like it. All right, Jeffrey, how do you see it? Can Spurrier pull out a win in Athens?
Tough game to pick. Georgia could kill them, but then South Carolina could win the game straight up. I got a feeling South Carolina is going to hang on. Take the 17 with the Gamecocks.
All right, that's it. We'll come back in just a moment to talk about injuries in the NFL and the player medical report on football's Play to Win.
Why can't I have a slice of yours?
You're a cartoon. You can only have cartoon pizza.
It's not fair.
Look, this pie is 100% real, and you're colored ink. It's physics, man.
Well, can you buy me a beer?
I can buy you a cartoon beer. Are you single?
It's surprise.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness. Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
Don't pay more for a new vehicle. At Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, we're dealing, and you're going to save big money. Take $8,000 off MSRP during Truck Month on a Ram 1500. Get a Jeep Grand Cherokee for only $27,999. And a Chrysler 200 is now just $16,945. That's $8,000 off MSRP. Don't miss these deals now at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and online at yourdodge.com.
The time has come to meet the new face of Kilo, Stefan and Kimchi.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Oh, so confident. Well, the only danger angle is this vaporizer beam. Goodbye, James.
Nice work, Kevin. Kevin, what do you think?
Live out your dreams. Win up to $100,000 300 times a day playing Keno.
Today's Player Medical and Injury Report is being brought to you by John Foy and Associates. Personal injury law. Get the strong arm.
All right, a lot of early injuries in the NFL this 2015 season. Let's go to the NFL injury list. You see these players and their official status by the NFL, and that takes us to our player medical report. And you'll notice that Dr. Andrew Lalagi is not with me this week. That's because his father passed away this week, and we'd like to extend our sympathies here from Play to Win to the Lalagi family, and Dr. A will be back with us next week. And now our player medical report. He handed these along to me with his staff and his notes on the report cards. These are, of course, projections on how these players will do. T.Y. Hilton goes from an A to a B, had a knee bruise, no structural damage, however. How about Des Bryant? Des Bryant, they say he'll be out 4 to 6, could be up to 8 weeks. Jones fracture on the 5th metatarsal of his right foot. And Deshaun Jackson got a hamstring on a deep route he ran last week, out 3 to 4 weeks. He's been injury prone. He goes from a C to a D. He's injured quite a bit. And now Andre Ellington, PCL injury, grade 1 sprain, not a complete tear, out 2 to 3 weeks for him. Josh McCown, the quarterback, Josh McCown got a concussion while diving into the end zone. And he, by the way, will be replaced by Johnny Manziel, but he just goes from a B+ to a B. And finally, Reggie Bush goes from a C+ to a C. Reggie's been banged around a whole lot, left calf strain, and he was carted off in a cart, but not that serious. And by the way, Red Pepper Taqueria sponsors our You Be the Experts contest. You can go to playingtowin.tv on September 22nd, that's Tuesday, for our first selections, our first contest. Win $50 and $100 gift certificates.
It can happen to anyone. The road to your recovery can be painful, both physically and financially. Your injuries could last a long time. Shouldn't your compensation? Protect your rights. Get a lawyer who fights. I've been fighting and winning for Georgia drivers for more than 20 years. Someone needs to pay. Call me today. Get the strong arm. I'll fight hard so you don't have to.
We took America's best-selling car and turned everything up a notch. The Toyota Camry. What bold moves will you make? Get 0% APR for 72 months plus $500 cash back on a new 2015 Toyota Camry. Toyota, let's go places.
Today's Fantasy Report is being brought to you by ST Services. Home comfort or plumbing issues? We can fix that.
Joined by Adam Brown now, our fantasy football guru. And this is Who's Hot and Who's Cold in Fantasy Football. You got some hot quarterbacks to talk about.
I do. Let's start off with the man, Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Drew Brees last week had a nice week with 355 yards passing and a loss to Arizona. He plays the Tampa Bay defense at home this week that got 42 hung on them against Tennessee last week. Matt Ryan, I also like a lot. You see that 4 touchdowns down there? That's a lot of touchdowns. But he's playing a Giants team that gave up 3 touchdowns last week to Tony Romo. And I love Julio Jones. He's just going to keep getting better and better with the offense.
How about the running backs?
Let's go with Matt Forte again. I had him last week. I'm going to tell you again, take him again this week. Matt Forte had 5 receptions last week and 3 runs of 20-plus yards. He's going to be very, very key in that offense and a big, big contributor this week.
All right, wide receivers. Julio Jones embarrassed some of the defensive backs for the Eagles. How about the Giants?
I told you he was going to have 9 receptions last week. He's going to have 9 receptions again this week. Last year, week 5, against the Giants, at Giants, he had 11 receptions. Look for him to have another huge game this week.
All right, how about Brandon Cooks? You like him too.
Brandon Cooks, I mean, with Drew Brees throwing him the football, he had a bad game last week, 4 catches, 49 yards. Look for him to have a couple touchdowns and a nice game this week.
Okay, and now, there's been a lot of injuries in the NFL, and here are some suggestions for injury wire pickups and some good ones, particularly at Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas has Cole Beasley and Terrence Williams. Now, Terrence Williams steps into the number 1 receiver's role. Cole Beasley steps into the number 2 receiver role. I like both of them to have good weeks. But Terrence Williams had 8 targets before Des Bryant got hurt last week.
Okay, so you probably get at least targeted a lot.
Yes.
And how about your sleeper? You like a sleeper from Cincinnati?
I do. Tyler Eifert.
Yeah.
Tyler Eifert had a massive week last week, and he is the security blanket for Andy Dalton. He had 12 targets compared to A.J. Green's 8 targets last week.
All right, there you go. Our fantasy football guru, Adam Brown, on Who's Hot and Who's Cold in fantasy football.
Good luck, everyone.
No electricity? We can fix that. From replacing a light switch to installing an emergency generator. ST's Electrical Services, your man for all seasons since 1949, and will turn the lights on. Don't stay in the dark. We can fix that.
The grand reopening event continues at Kia Mall of Georgia. All remaining 2015s in stock have been reduced for immediate sale. This is the time to save thousands. Great savings on the 2015 Kia Soul with automatic, now only $13,997. Save over $5,000 on the 2015 Kia Optima. You pay only $16,997. Before you buy, it's worth the drive to the first exit off 985. Come see us at Kia Mall of Georgia. Online at lovemykia.com.
Oh, sorry I'm late. No worries. Hey, you got my Falcon scratcher, right?
Oh, yeah, it's right here.
Make the drop, give him the money.
Roger that.
I forgot to stop. Sorry, man.
It's a no-go, Larry. Just land on the sidelines.
Tom?
The Georgia Dome is actually a dome!
You can't win if you don't play. So take your shot at $350,000 with the Falcons game on Scratcher.
Bad pipes, clogs, broken water heater? We can fix that. ST's Plumbing Services, your man for all seasons since 1949, will make your plumbing problems disappear. From pesky pipes to new water heaters. We can fix that.
Today's NFL Report is being brought to you by Nissan. Shop ChooseNissan.com.
The NFL Report brought to you by Nissan. The Atlanta Falcons are going to New York this week. Remember, if they can make it there, they can make it anywhere. Atlanta at the New York Giants. This is going to be one to break down because I'm not sure which Falcons offense is the one that played in the first half against the Eagles or the one that played in the second half against the Eagles, where at one point the Falcons lost the lead for a minute. But what about the Falcons offense? How do you see it?
We're hacking away at something new, but the Falcons, they're running the ball more than they're passing it. This is a new thing for them. It's helping Coleman get into a rhythm. It's taking the pressure off of Ryan, and it's keeping the Falcons unpredictable. That is key to produce in a variety of ways, and we're doing it. It's new for us. We're figuring it out if you're a Falcon.
All right, Eli Manning and the New York Giants offense against that Falcons defense. In the game against the Eagles on Monday night, I was pretty impressed with this new Dan Quinn defensive look.
Well, you start seeing Dan Quinn's his dream come together, and that's fast and physical. We talked about that. They were fast and physical, made plays in the first half, and you like seeing the defense finish the game with an interception in the end. I think they're on the right track. The Falcons match up well versus this New York Giants team, Bob.
All right, and now we have the first of this season, our 68 seconds with 680 The Fan. And we're going to John Kincaid, who never has an opinion. And his first comment about the Falcons, I would call it a caveat emptor.
Hey, Falcon fans, have you come down from the high of Monday night's victory over the Eagles yet? Just a little cautionary tale. Dan Quinn was brought in to transform the Falcons franchise. And let me tell you, one Monday night victory, that's not going to do it. There's a lot more work to be done, but the first outing, very, very impressive. Have we seen a Falcons defense attack sideline to sideline like we did on Monday night? Not recently. Have we seen a Falcons offensive line be that cohesive in one game? Not in years. Here's the problem, though. Is Dan Quinn's going to have bumps in the road. This thing isn't going to turn from being a 6-10 club to a Super Bowl contender just overnight. The Falcons have work to do, so temper the enthusiasm. Be excited every time you see Dan Quinn's Falcons go out and maybe surprise another opponent. But make sure your expectations are measured. This is for the long haul, folks. And if you give Dan Quinn time, he's going to make Atlanta a winner. Back to you, Bob.
Okay, John Kincaid. You say Falcon fans should keep their hopes tempered. You should keep your depression tempered because everybody knows how big a Eagles fan. That was hard to do for John. But way to go. You proved once again that you're a pro. Now it's time to find out who's going to win the game in New York with Jeffrey and his pick.
You know, you talk about the Falcons offense, the Falcons defense. Nobody says anything about their kicking game. They kick it out of the end zone. The punter is fabulous. Matt Bryant is automatic. Philadelphia, when they tried to make a decision the other day, they looked like they were so confused. They didn't know what was going on. I like Atlanta plus the 2.
A lot of big, almost rivalry games, certainly big matchups. How about this one? A rematch of last year's Super Bowl, and we're talking about Green Bay, Seattle. Seattle lost the first week going to Green Bay. And Nikki, what do you think about Aaron Rodgers and that Packers O?
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers has got his running game back now that his calf injury is behind him. And if the Seahawks want to stop him, they are going to have to control the time of possession, keep him on the sideline, control the tempo. It's going to be very hard for Seattle to do, though, if they're out there trying to attempt 40 passes.
Some changes with the Seahawks. The Legion of Boom didn't look quite as good that first game than they did last year. What about the defense for Seattle?
Well, the defense, you know, it was only one game, for God's sake. I mean, come
Good
on.
point.
The world's not ending after one game. They'll come back and run the ball in the middle with Marshawn Lynch. They play great run defense. They'll get back to that with Bobby Wagner. Stop the run the ball for Seattle. That is their recipe for success.
Or deal with Marshawn Lynch's mama.
Which is tougher than Marshawn Lynch. We'll be back in just a moment. We have more NFL when we have Jeffrey's picks. Stay with us for the lightning round.
She said yes. You're the best man.
I got this. Nissan Sentra. With push-button start, Bose Premium Audio, and hands-free text messaging assistant. Choose Sentra, J.D. Power's highest-ranked compact car in initial quality. Get 0% APR for up to 72 months. Sentra, step it up.
You're the man.
Shop ChooseNissan.com. Innovation that excites.
Wizard, can you make me real so I can eat real mellow mushroom pizza instead of cartoon pizza?
Stand back. Here we go. Alakazam! Wiggity stickety poof!
I'm still a cartoon.
Then that'd be a no.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness.
Wiggity stickety poof.
Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
It can happen to anyone. The road to your recovery can be painful, both physically and financially. Your injuries could last a long time. Shouldn't your compensation? I've been fighting and winning for Georgia drivers for more than 20 years. Someone needs to pay. Call me today. Get the strong arm. Protect your rights and get the lawyer who fights.
The time has come to meet the new face of Kilo, Stefan and Kimchi.
I wouldn't be so sure.
Oh, so confident. Yeah, the only danger angle is this vaporizer beam.
Goodbye, James. Nice work, Kevin. Kevin, what do you think?
Live out your dreams. Win up to $100,000 300 times a day playing Keno.
All right, it's time for the lightning round. That means Jeffrey the Edge Schechter with some interesting games you ought to pay a lot of attention to. Let's start with college football. First of all, in the colleges, Jeffrey picks them like this.
Northwestern is very good on defense, efficient on offense, and they're good enough to beat Duke. Take the 3.5. Washington is on their way up. I think they'll easily beat Utah State. Give the 5.5. Kentucky has the second best quarterback in the SEC. Their offense is excellent. They should beat Florida. Take the 3 with Kentucky at home.
All right, now it's time to take a look at some of the NFL games. Also, some interesting games to pay very close attention to. The NFL with Jeffrey.
After Brady gets a beating from Buffalo this weekend, he may wish they didn't overturn the suspension. Take the 1 with Buffalo.
I like that.
St. Louis is a team to deal with. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL. Washington is at best mediocre. Give the 3 with St. Louis. Tennessee looked great last week. Cleveland looked terrible last week. Enough said. Give the 1 with Tennessee.
All right, that's it, the lightning round. That's why it goes just like that. Get all the details on playingtowin.tv. For the whole game, this is Bob. See you next week.
Play to Win has been brought to you by the Southeastern Nissan dealers,
Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers,
and Estes Services.